It's been 50 days since I made a video last. Early in July, I developed a very serious problem in my back. Bulging disc, pinched nerve, caused massive pain and immobility, and I was unable to continue work on Felony. My timeline from 100 days to Overcrest dwindled down till now. I'm under 50 days. I started making this video in June. It's now almost the end of summer. There was still no shortage of tasks to complete on the body of the '68 Mustang. I needed to hang new quarter panels, rip off the sail panels and the cratered and destroyed roof, and replace everything with fresh metal. So I began the process. Started cutting spot welds, grinding everything down, chiseling away at all the seams, breaking loose all the old, destroyed metal. With each broken spot weld came motivation, the will to succeed, the will to make my timeline, to make this car whole again. Just kept growing and growing. It's complete opposite of how I felt last winter. I had thought, maybe I can let the car sit for a few years and just work on it. I'll get it running eventually, and I'll make it perfect. But chasing perfection was killing me. I didn't realize that it made me unhappy. There might be a time and a place for that, but this car isn't it. I just wanted to tear off all the old shitty rusty metal and make it good again. And I didn't care what it was going to take, how much time, how many sleepless nights. I wanted to get after it. So here I am, less than 50 days to Overcrest. I'm going to see if I can make it. One of the things I wanted to quickly tackle in between pulling off and re-enreeing the quarter panels was sticking Felony on a chassis dolly. The little caster mounts that I had put onto the front bumper and rear tow hook areas probably weren't the best idea, and I didn't want to take the roof and the quarter panels off before I supported Felony from the middle of the frame. I got these mitered end box tubes from metal supermarkets with some CNC caster plates from Casterland, welded it all together. Of course, I put some bigger casters on it as well to help it roll around the shop and maybe even into the driveway a lot easier. I welded some tubes to the front and got some jack pads that I could slide in. They're usually meant for hoist arms. And then I just made two vertical pieces with sleeved holes so I could mount them into the leaf spring perches. I removed the casters that I had previously made and the car was sitting freely on the new chassis dolly. Much, much better. Alright, Mustang is on the new chassis dolly, and it actually rolls about 1,000,000 times better than those other casters. I'm going to keep those little dollies for when I do all the cleanup of the chassis, just so I have access to the belly of the car and everything like that. But this is 2,000 times better for moving around the shop, and it feels a lot more sturdy, so I'm stoked on that. I'm going to make two little brackets to reinforce the pegs that go to the leaf springs, just for peace of mind. I'll do that off camera, but yeah, it's ready to go. So I'm going to quickly give this area a cleanup, move the car over here, and we're gonna start working on getting the other quarter panel off, and I think I might just go ham and take the roof off as well. See how far we get. As a lot of you know, this car used to be a vinyl top, hence the massive holes and rust all over the roof. That's what happens with vinyl cars. They get a rip in the material, water gets in and collects, and it just sits on the metal and rusts away. At some point this car had that happen. It was repaired when somebody at a body shop or whoever duct taped the holes in the roof and bondoed over top. They then proceeded to bondo all the way down the sail panels, all over the quarter panel, into the scoops, everywhere. It was just everywhere on this car. In a lot of places it was cracking and peeling away from the car, especially on the roof. If you go back to my very first episode tearing this thing apart. you'll see me ripping massive chunks of body filler off the roof. I've also had chunks like that coming off the quarter panels, especially in the corners where the wheel arches touch the inner tubs. This corner here, there was a huge chunk of fiberglass filler. In and around the doors was pretty good. There was just rust in the usual spots on the flanges. These classic Mustangs weren't coated inside the weld flanges from the factory, so they just rust naturally. It's just inherent in these cars. That's how they were built back in the day. Whenever somebody says they don't make them like they used to, I just turn my head and laugh. There was a lot that people didn't know back when these cars were being manufactured, and there's a lot of stuff that works, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't. I am going to try and correct all the things that I can, especially on these lower areas where I know water and grit and just the elements are going to be really hard on this thing. These lower sections of the sail panel are a bit of a pain in the ass to get off. It's where the quarter panel and the sail index with each other, and from the factory there's a flange on the back that's spot welded to the inner structure and then lead filled over. It literally took me an hour and a half to get this one little chunk of metal off. Lots of prying, lots of cutting, lots of grinding. I was trying my best not to damage the inside of the pillar. After I got that piece off, I started working on the window line, cutting all the spot welds. I wanted to move across and then cut the other side out, possibly move to the windshield. I wanted it all ready to just pop the roof off. A few weeks after I brought this car home a year and a half ago, I ordered a Dynacorn roof skin. I unboxed it and I put it on the side of the garage. It's been resting there or resting on the top of the car to be out of the way ever since. And I've been staring at the roof of this thing like it's the top of a mountain. Like I couldn't wait to get up there. Could not wait to pull that shitty old paint, bondo, duct tape, vinyl top piece of garbage off and just be done with it. I could have done it right away. I could have started from the top, worked my way down. But for some reason, I just wanted to take care of everything. I wanted this car rust-free. I wanted it solid. And I wanted to start from the bottom and climb up. And I thought it'd be a challenge to get this thing off. It did take some prying with a big bar, you know, some extra cuts and grinding. It's like I knew exactly where to put the grinder, exactly where I knew to put the spot weld cutter. And every weld popped so satisfyingly. It's like I can see the end. It's like I'm over top now. And I can see down the valley on the other side. I can see the finish line. It was a really good feeling. Oh man, that felt good. All right, gonna give you the rundown. Been a few days of work. Man, I've said this a couple times, but I feel like I'm at the turnaround. The roof is gone. The old shitty pocked roof is gone. I've got the new Dynacorn roof sitting on top of this thing. It's just kind of loosely, but everything lines up pretty good. It's looking like we're gonna be pretty mint on the fit. I'm gonna be working on repairing all the small areas of rust that are left. The pillars here underneath the sail panel and where the lead filling was is pretty rusty. As you can see on this side, I've got marked out kind of where I'm gonna be cutting in the blue grease pen there. That's sort of the extent of the pitting and stuff. Let's get to it. At first look, I thought, maybe I could weld to this. Maybe I don't have to cut it all apart and redo it. First pass with the wire wheel revealed pits, a lot more rust than I thought. This inner B pillar has like 2 layers to it that kind of come together. One attaches to the tub in the lower area behind the quarter panel, and then you have the upper one that's behind the sail panel. Where they intersect was pretty pitted and rusty, but I knew I didn't have to make the patches pretty, I just had to have them be solid and protected. So I cut them, fairly rough, fit them in as best I could, and just quickly blasted them in there. Didn't have to make it perfect. Like I said, this is all structural stuff. I'll never see it. Nobody will ever see it. I don't have to worry about it. I know it's going to be covered. Honestly, just wanted to run through it and get everything rebuilt so I could get to putting the rest of it on. So these quarter panels are one of those shipping stories that are just completely ridiculous. I ordered them from CJ Pony Parts right around the time I decided to take on the 100 days. At first it looked good. I had like a delivery date and everything looked great. It was like a week out. The week goes by and I get a delivery notice and there's no quarter panels at my door. Turns out the delivery notice is because they went back to the warehouse in Nevada. The shipper at CJ Pony Parts had selected a trucking company that doesn't ship over the border into Canada. So I had to call CJ. Their customer service was actually quite helpful. They got it taken care of right away. They got on the phone with the shipper and got the quarter panels on their way to me, and it actually only took 4 days to get them to the garage. Dude that dropped them off was super chill, loved the car, loved the garage. I was very thankful that I got them in the time that I did. I was obviously hoping to have them sooner, so I could start working on the tubs, getting them measured and in place off the quarter panels. You have to have all this stuff to mock it all up. That's the thing. You can go without, but you really do need to have the parts together and ready to mock up. Otherwise, you're never going to get anything lined up properly, which it's never going to line up right anyways, but you'll have it way, way out if you don't have it all. And you can't stick it all together, pin it all together, and make sure that it fits. And make sure that it's actually going to work with each other, because I have Dynacorn sail panels and roof skin going on top of CJ Classic quarters, which, all these manufacturers do all this stuff differently. They're never going to be quite right. I had to fill this little gap in the rocker where I had taken the spot welds from the old quarter off and it actually burned through a couple spots with the finger sander. The rockers are a heavier gauge. I believe it's a 16 gauge steel, which I did have on the bench. So I made this little patch piece, turned up the welder heat and got it burned in. Again, just structural stuff, doesn't have to be pretty. So I just coated everything in primer, got it blasted in, we're good to go. For the tubs, all I did was cut them down the middle above the flange so that I wouldn't have to take off any more of the old one, and just sat it over top and seam welded all the way along. I had to use my skateboard because this is around the time that my back was starting to give out on me, and I was starting to have issues moving and walking around and bending down and getting in awkward positions. finally finished the inner structure around the B-pillar by welding these little patches onto the top of the tub, onto the B-pillar. And that was it. Everything was repaired and everything was ready for quarter panels. I started filming this video almost a month ago. I've been fighting with severe neck and back pain from bulging disc, pinched nerve situation. A lot of days are just sitting around not able to do anything. I'm finding now that I'm getting the right balance of movement and rest, so I'm trying to work as much as I can without overdoing it. I think attaching a quarter panel should be a fairly decent job to do. I've got 2 days before I head to Europe with my family, and I want this car to be welded together in terms of the body being done. The tubs are all done and situated, and that rear corner is all done from the other day. I plug welded it all together. It's not entirely lined up, but it's gonna work, and it'll be nice and solid, so we're good to go there. I've got the quarter resting on the passenger side. I'm gonna start with that today. I'm gonna start by cleaning up everywhere that it's attached, getting weld through primer on it, drilling out where I'm gonna put all my plug welds, and then I'm gonna work on fitting it up. So I got a bunch of work to do in the next 2 days. I want both these quarters, the roof and the sail panels welded together. Doesn't have to be entirely finished out, but I do want this thing to be all solid. I want to be able to wheel it back, park the other Mustang next to it, take off to Europe and not think about it for a few weeks. The quarter panels had sat in the garage for weeks, not moving. Meanwhile, I was laying in bed, laying on the couch at physio, just mind surfing it, thinking about as much as I could. When it came time to throw them on, it seemed like a fairly straightforward process. Everything lined up pretty good. There was a little bit of bending and forming to get the flanges to meet up and to get everything to line up with the tail panel. I did not hesitate. I just went right into it and I started plug welding. I worked well into the night to get the quarter panels on the car, and I was trying to go as far as I could, maybe even getting to the sail panels and roof, but it just wouldn't happen. The driver's side took some more adjusting and some more fiddling, and there's some pieces that I had to redo. But I got the quarter panel situated, started blasting away at it, and got it stuck to the car. Unfortunately, I would run out of welding gas. With it being a Sunday, I wasn't able to go and get more, so I called it. It's time to take a break and just be with my family and enjoy new places. I started this process in late June. I decided I was going to get this car ready for Overcrest Rally this fall, and I immediately hit setbacks. The quarter panels didn't ship, my wheel tubs were late, uncovered a little bit more rust, which was kind of to be expected, but it was nonetheless still a step backwards. Then I was injured. I didn't work for almost the entire month of July. I had a nerve problem in my neck, a bulging disc, and I couldn't move. I could barely walk.
was basically bedridden with extreme pain for several weeks, and this just sat here. My original plan, I had counted for going away on our family vacation, which I did. I'm now back. I now have 60 days to get this from where it is now to running and driving with this BMW M54 that's to my right. This is the turnaround point. I have this trunk line all repaired. I'm gonna start by TIG welding this today, and then I'm moving on to the other side, which is gonna take a couple hours to fix up. And then we're gonna attach the roof to this thing, and the metalwork, the major repair to this car will be complete. And it's gonna be a huge milestone for this project. I don't know if I can make the 60 days. I really actually don't at this point. I'm gonna do everything I can to make it happen. Some things will get left out. Some things that I wanted on the original list won't get done right away, but I'm gonna do everything I can to get this thing running under its own power and driving all the way to Georgia for Overcrest Rally. Let's do some welding.
First time I put myself under the gun to try and finish a build, I said no matter what, I'll leave this garage better than when I walked in. I carry that mantra with me every day. I really do. I try and learn, try to progress. I try to push myself to my limits. I sometimes have problems staying organized, focused, sometimes even motivated in my life. This garage and these projects are where those problems get the door slammed in their face. And I'm never worried these days about making the journey. Because I know deep down that I'm already on it.